something breaks in episode 6, and it's not just the case. It's the trust that's held this team together since the beginning. For years, fans have watched Charlie Hudson and his loyal partner Rex chase down criminals, outsmart masterminds, and protect their city. But this time, the danger doesn't come from the streets. It comes from within. One decision, one lie, and one shocking truth will push the Major Crimes Unit to its breaking point. When loyalty turns into suspicion and friendship turns into doubt, who can Hudson really trust? When even Rex senses something's wrong. From the very first frame of Hudson and Rex Season 8, Episode 6, the energy feels different. There's a stillness in the air, a kind of silence that says something terrible is coming. Charlie Hudson walks into the precinct the same way he always does, but the look in his eyes tells a different story. He's no longer the calm, confident detective we're used to. He's distracted, tense, and Rex, always the first to notice, stays close, alert to every move around him. This isn't just another day on the job. This is the day everything changes. The aftermath of the last episode still hangs heavy over the team. Questions remain unanswered, and trust has started to crack beneath the surface. What was once a tight-knit group of professionals now feels divided by silence. Sarah avoids eye contact. Jesse's humor seems forced, and even Joe, the chief who's always been steady, carries an edge in his voice that wasn't there before. The team is still recovering from a recent betrayal, but none of them know that the real one hasn't even happened yet. Every good mystery starts with a clue, but this episode begins with something far more dangerous. A secret. Somewhere inside Major Crimes, someone knows the truth, and they're doing everything they can to hide it. Hudson senses it. He can feel the tension, the hesitation, the sudden shift in behavior when he walks into a room. But he can't put his finger on who it is. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because this time, the danger isn't just about solving a case. It's about surviving the truth. Rex, as always, is the mirror to Hudson's instincts. The dog's quiet growls, his hesitation before approaching certain people, all hint at something deeper. Fans who followed the show know that Rex's behavior often foreshadows what's to come. And Episode 6 uses that perfectly. When even Rex doesn't trust someone, the audience feels the tension rise. It's the writer's way of telling us that the enemy isn't out there in the city. It's right here, in the heart of the team. Throughout the episode's opening moments, Hudson starts connecting small, almost invisible dots. A file that's been moved, a piece of evidence logged at the wrong time, a witness statement that doesn't match the report. They're small things, easy to overlook, but to a detective like Hudson, they don't add up. Something is wrong with the investigation, and the realization hits hard. Someone has been manipulating the case from the inside. Fans can feel the emotional pull immediately. The tension isn't just professional, it's personal. Hudson has always believed in his team, treated them like family. So the idea that one of them might be betraying that trust feels impossible, even cruel. Yet the signs are everywhere. The writing in Episode 6 leans heavily on this emotional conflict. You can almost feel Hudson's denial fighting against his instincts. He wants to believe in his people, but the evidence keeps whispering otherwise. Rex's presence during these moments adds another layer of pain. The bond between man and dog has always been unbreakable, the show's emotional heartbeat. But when Rex starts reacting differently around certain people, it's like he's silently telling Hudson what he doesn't want to hear. The show doesn't need words for this. The looks, the pauses, the quiet tension between every interaction. It says everything. And as the first section of the episode unfolds, the audience is left with a chilling thought. Maybe the threat they've been chasing all season isn't outside the precinct walls. Maybe it's been sitting right beside them all along. As Episode 6 deepens, the tension grows heavier, like a storm that's been building quietly for weeks. Every conversation feels loaded. Every silence feels deliberate. The once light atmosphere of the Major Crimes Unit is replaced by suspicion and unease. Hudson tries to stay focused on the new case in front of him, a string of break-ins that seem connected to an old investigation. But his mind keeps circling back to the inconsistencies no one else seems to notice. Files that don't match, timelines that blur, and that strange, uneasy feeling that someone is always one step ahead. Rex senses Hudson's distraction. He watches him closely, never straying far, as if he knows that his partner's instincts are battling something deeper than the case. There's a moment, quiet but powerful, where Hudson pauses at his desk, staring at a single folder. Inside is a witness statement written in handwriting that looks hauntingly familiar. He's seen it before. Not in a report, but in his own notes. The realization strikes like lightning. Someone inside the department has been mimicking his writing, altering reports under his name. The implications are terrifying. Not only is someone framing him, but they're doing it from within his own team. From this point, the emotional temperature of the episode rises. Hudson doesn't confront anyone yet. Instead, he watches, observes, studies every word, every look. Sarah seems distant, distracted by something she won't share. Jesse tries to lighten the mood, but there's a nervous edge in his laughter. And Joe, calm, composed Joe, avoids direct questions, shifting topics whenever Hudson brings up the recent discrepancies. To fans, it feels like a psychological chess match. Everyone moving pieces in silence, waiting for someone to make the first mistake. Then comes a turning point. Rex finds something, a small flash drive buried beneath the backseat of Hudson's car. Hudson doesn't remember putting it there. When he plugs it in, the screen fills with images from the recent crime scenes, photos that were never released outside the investigation. And worse, a few of them are stamped with his name, as if he was the one who leaked them. The setup is clear. Someone is trying to destroy his credibility, and they're doing it carefully, piece by piece. The scene that follows is one of the most emotionally charged in the entire season. Hudson closes the laptop, leans back, and runs a hand over his face. For the first time, he looks genuinely lost. Rex rests his head on Hudson's knee, sensing the turmoil. "What if it's someone we know?" Hudson whispers. It's not just a line. It's a confession of fear. Because deep down, he already suspects that the betrayal has roots close to home. Meanwhile, fans online have been dissecting every second of the episode, connecting dots that the show intentionally leaves open. The idea of an insider leak isn't new. It's been hinted at since the beginning of Season 8. But Episode 6 takes that quiet suggestion and turns it into a full-blown emotional storm. The writing doesn't rely on big reveals. It thrives on small, devastating details. The way Hudson hesitates before answering Sarah's questions. The quick glance Joe gives when Rex enters the room. The camera lingering just a little too long on Jesse's phone screen. Every moment builds suspicion, even when no one says a word. The strength of Hudson and Rex has always been its emotional honesty, the loyalty between partners, the trust that defines their bond. And that's exactly why Episode 6 hurts. Because as Hudson digs deeper, the foundation of everything he's believed in starts to crumble. The people who've stood by him through countless cases might now be the ones tearing him down from within. By the end of this section, Hudson makes a silent decision. He can't rely on anyone else, not yet. Until he knows who's behind this, he has to work alone. With Rex by his side, he starts following the trail no one else sees. The camera doesn't need to show what he's thinking. We can feel it through the silence, the determination in his eyes. Something inside him has shifted. The detective who once trusted everyone now trusts no one. And as the screen fades to black, one thing becomes clear. The case he's solving is no longer about justice. It's about survival, and the truth that could destroy the team forever. By the time Episode 6 reaches its midpoint, the tone shifts from quiet suspicion to full-blown tension. Hudson's investigation, once methodical and composed, now feels desperate. He's running out of time, and every move he makes could expose him to whoever's working against him. The walls of major crimes, once filled with laughter and loyalty, now feel like a trap closing in. And through it all, Rex remains his silent anchor, loyal, watchful, sensing that his partner is no longer fighting a criminal on the outside, but a ghost hiding among their own ranks. Hudson begins retracing every step of the recent cases. He goes back to the old crime files, searching for patterns that others might have missed. That's when he finds something chilling. Several pieces of evidence from past investigations have been rechecked recently, but not by him. The access logs show someone using his credentials late at night, long after he's gone home. Whoever's doing this isn't just planting evidence. They're rewriting history, shaping a story that leads straight back to Hudson. It's not sabotage anymore. It's character assassination. Rex reacts first to what Hudson doesn't say. His ears perk at certain sounds, his body tense when someone approaches Hudson's desk unexpectedly. The camera lingers on Rex's eyes, sharp, knowing, filled with worry. Viewers who've followed the show understand that look. It's Rex's instinct, the one that's never wrong. Something about the people around Hudson isn't right, and Rex can sense it before Hudson admits it out loud. The tension explodes when Hudson confronts Sarah in the lab. What starts as a routine question turns into an emotionally charged exchange. Hudson asks about a fingerprint report that doesn't match the case file. Sarah freezes, her voice trembling slightly as she explains it away as a clerical error. But Hudson's face tells a different story. He's not accusing her. Not yet. But he's no longer convinced of anyone's innocence either. As he leaves the room, the camera catches Sarah's expression. A mix of guilt and fear, but also something else. Resolve. It's unclear whether she's hiding the truth or protecting someone else. But one thing's certain, the cracks are widening. Meanwhile, Joe's behavior grows even more suspicious. He starts taking calls in private, ending conversations when Hudson enters the room. In one moment, we hear a faint line from Joe's side of a call. He can't find out. That single sentence sends chills down Hudson's spine, and the audience's too. The writers masterfully use these small, loaded details to turn familiar faces into potential suspects. No one is safe from suspicion now, not even the people who've earned the audience's trust for years. Then, late one night, Hudson returns to the office, unable to sleep. The lights are off, the hall's empty. Rex follows silently beside him. He's drawn to his desk, where he finds something he didn't expect. A sealed envelope with no name, only a small red mark in the corner. Inside, there's a photo of the team taken weeks ago, but circled in red is one person's face, Joe's. And beneath it, a single message. He's not who you think. The revelation hits hard. Could the man who's led the major crimes unit for years really be hiding something this big? Hudson's instincts tell him to be careful, but his heart, still clinging to loyalty, refuses to believe it fully. The duality between his training as a detective and his humanity as a friend tears at him. Rex, sensing the internal conflict, rests a paw on his arm, grounding him in silence. It's one of those subtle emotional beats that remind fans why this series resonates. Because it's never just about catching criminals. It's about trust, faith, and the painful price of both. From this point forward, Hudson works in secret. He creates his own copy of the case files, begins tracking digital footprints, and starts piecing together clues that no one else knows exist. The writing shifts gears here, from mystery to psychological thriller. Every phone vibration, every glance from across the room feels like danger. The viewers can almost hear the unspoken question in Hudson's head. If I can't trust my own team, who am I fighting for? As the episode moves toward its final act, one thing becomes clear. The betrayal isn't coming. It's already here, and the person behind it is closer than Hudson could ever imagine. The storm finally breaks in the fourth act of episode 6. Everything that's been quietly boiling beneath the surface now explodes into chaos. Hudson's sleepless nights, the unease in the precinct, the subtle looks exchanged between team members, it all leads to this moment. The truth isn't waiting to be uncovered anymore. It's crashing through the doors, demanding to be seen. Hudson begins the day with one goal: find solid proof. The photo from the anonymous envelope keeps haunting him, Joe's face circled in red. Part of him wants to dismiss it as a trap, but too many coincidences have stacked against Joe lately. The private phone calls, the late-night access logs, the tension that's been building between them without a word spoken. Hudson knows he can't accuse his superior without evidence, but he also knows that waiting too long could destroy what's left of his reputation. Rex stays close as Hudson follows his instincts one last time. He replays every conversation, every clue, every unexplained action. Then, almost by chance, a small slip opens the door to the truth. Jesse mentions that Joe signed off on an evidence transfer 2 days ago. Something Hudson never authorized. That document becomes the key. Hudson checks the records, tracing the digital signature back through the system. The trail leads not to Joe's office, but to a hidden drive in the forensics lab. That's when he realizes what's been happening all along. Someone has been using Joe's credentials to frame him. And the person responsible is still inside the building. Hudson rushes to the lab, Rex at his side. The room is dark except for the glow of computer screens. Files flicker on the monitors, showing copies of falsified reports, manipulated timestamps, and planted evidence, all pointing toward Hudson as the leak. And in the center of it all stands Sarah. Her hands tremble as she tries to shut the system down, but it's too late. Hudson's voice cuts through the silence. "Why, Sarah?" The confrontation is raw, painful, and heartbreakingly human. Sarah turns, tears already in her eyes. "It wasn't supposed to go this far," she says. She explains that she was forced into it. Someone outside the department had been blackmailing her for months, threatening a loved one. She never meant to hurt Hudson. She only altered a few files at first, thinking it would end there. But once the chain of lies began, it spiraled beyond her control. The enemy she thought she could appease ended up controlling her entirely. Hudson's anger collides with empathy. He's furious, betrayed, yet part of him still sees the colleague who once stood beside him through countless cases. "You should have told me," he says quietly. "We could have fixed this together." But Sarah only shakes her head. "They said they'd come after you next." The weight of those words hits like a punch. The real enemy isn't just within the team, it's manipulating them from outside, using fear as a weapon. Rex steps between them, sensing the emotional charge in the air. His low growl echoes through the lab, protective and uncertain. Hudson takes a step back, realizing that Sarah isn't the architect of this chaos. She's another victim caught in someone else's web. But before he can press for more answers, the building's alarms blare. Security lockdown. The system has detected unauthorized access. Someone knows the truth is out. In the confusion, Sarah whispers the name of the person behind it. But the sound is drowned by the blaring sirens. Hudson can barely make out the syllables. It's short, sharp, familiar, a name he knows. The realization flashes across his face just as the power cuts out. The lab plunges into darkness. When the emergency lights flicker back on, Sarah is gone. The computer screens are blank, wiped clean. Hudson looks around, calling her name, but there's no answer. Only Rex's frantic barking echoing through the hall. In that instant, the scale of the betrayal becomes clear. This isn't about one person's mistake anymore. It's a conspiracy. Someone powerful is pulling strings, and they've just silenced the one person who could expose them. As Hudson stands in the glow of red emergency lights, surrounded by the wreckage of trust, one thing becomes painfully clear. The team he thought he knew is gone. The family he built is shattered. And the truth, whatever it is now buried under layers of deceit. But even as the chaos swallows the precinct, Rex remains by his side, unwavering. Hudson kneels beside him, voice low but steady. "We're not done yet, buddy." That line, quiet and resolute, becomes the heartbeat of the episode. It's not just about solving the mystery anymore. It's about rebuilding what's been broken and uncovering the truth, no matter how much it hurts. The silence in the station felt heavier than ever before. After the chaos, the betrayals, and the unexpected twist that tore the team apart, everyone seemed to be walking on glass. The tension was so thick that even Rex, usually a bundle of calm intelligence, sat quietly by Hudson's desk, his eyes darting between the people who once trusted each other with their lives. The fallout from episode 6 wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Hudson knew that repairing the broken pieces of his team would be the hardest challenge yet, harder than any case he'd ever solved. Jesse had retreated into himself, guilt pressing down on him like a storm cloud. His one decision, a choice made under pressure, had set off a chain reaction no one could stop. Sarah, though calm on the outside, was boiling inside. The betrayal cut her deeply, not because of what happened, but because of who it came from. She had always been the team's emotional anchor, the one who believed in second chances. But now, even she was questioning whether forgiveness was possible. Meanwhile, Superintendent Donovan tried to keep the peace, though even he knew the trust they once shared couldn't be restored overnight. "A team is only as strong as the bond between its members," he'd said in his office, his tone laced with disappointment. Hudson didn't respond. He just nodded, his gaze fixed on Rex as if searching for answers in the dog's quiet loyalty. Rex had always been more than a partner. He was Hudson's compass, a reminder of why he became a detective in the first place. Then came the twist no one saw coming, the mysterious call. Late at night, the phone on Hudson's desk rang. The distorted voice on the other end said something that froze him to his core. "You think it's over, detective? This was only the beginning." The call ended before he could trace it, but those few words were enough to reignite the fire in him. The enemy was still out there, watching, waiting, and planning their next move. Hudson realized that everything that had happened, the betrayal, the chaos, the fractures in the team, was part of something much larger. Episode 6's twist wasn't the conclusion. It was the opening act of a far darker story. Someone had orchestrated the breakdown from the shadows, manipulating their emotions, their fears, and even their loyalty. And now Hudson was determined to uncover who was behind it all. But even as he vowed to fight back, one question lingered in his mind. Could the team ever truly come back together? Could they rebuild what was broken? Or had the damage gone too deep? As the camera faded out on Hudson's silent stare, Rex placed a paw on his knee, grounding him in that moment of uncertainty. That small gesture, pure, wordless trust, became a symbol of hope amidst the chaos. Episode 6 ended not with resolution, but with raw, lingering tension. The calm after the storm, a deceptive calm, because beneath it, something even more dangerous was taking shape. The viewers could feel it, a promise that the story was far from over. In the world of Hudson and Rex, every clue leads to another secret. Every bond hides a vulnerability, and every twist breaks the heart a little more. As the credits rolled, fans were left wondering, who made that call? Was it someone from within their circle? Or a ghost from Hudson's past returning for revenge? Whatever the truth, one thing was certain, the team we knew was gone. What rises from the ashes in the next episode will be something new, something forged in fire, betrayal, and the painful lessons of trust. And with Rex by his side, Hudson knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a war for truth, one that would test not just their skills, but their souls.